Hojicha is unique in the world of Japanese green tea. Although most types of Japanese green tea produce a green or yellow color, Hojicha takes on this orange or brown hue. The tea also takes on warmer notes of coffee, caramel, and chocolate. In this video, we're going to walk you through how to prepare this tea and also what to look for in the taste. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for future tea videos. We have hundreds of videos on all sorts of topics related to Japanese green tea, but for this episode, we're going to focus on Hojicha specifically. Let's get started. Okay, so what I have here is the Kuki Hojicha. So this is a roasted stem tea from Mr. Issen in Takachiho. He's a farmer we met with a couple of years ago, mostly to discover his kamairacha, or pan-roasted tea. But in addition to making this partially roasted tea, he also makes a fully roasted tea. And he decides to make this tea from the stems of the tea plant. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at these. And what you'll notice is, when we look at the leaves, or the stems I should say, is that this is a really dark roasted Hojicha, and it's really only made using the stems. You can see like there's some leaves here, maybe there and there, but the main purpose of this tea is to be a pure stem tea. And stems and leaves roast slightly differently. So you'll notice like a big difference in the taste of this Hojicha versus a normal Hojicha. So I'm going to go ahead and take 5 grams of leaves here, there or thereabouts, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour in the water. And for this, I'm going to be using some of the hottest water I've used yet, and that's 80 degrees Celsius. So there are a few reasons for this. One, Hojichas actually can stand up to a lot of high temperature. Because it's roasted, a lot of the catechins are kind of removed during the roasting process, and it's more difficult to extract bitterness from this tea. And also, you know, some of these flavors are that you want in a Hojicha, like this kind of dark chocolate or black coffee. These are best extracted at a higher temperature. So this tea actually works quite well in these higher temperatures of 80 degrees Celsius. I've even seen some people almost boil a Hojicha. We're not going to go that far today, but 80 degrees Celsius is definitely a good way to kind of test out this tea and see if we can really get these stronger tasting notes from it. So this is perhaps our darkest tea overall. You know, we have 2 other Hojicha teas at Neo Teas. We have the Noike Hojicha and the Hojicha Kawabata En. And this is definitely the darkest of the 3 Hojicha teas. So the darkest roast, and definitely the darkest color as well. But it also has the lowest caffeine content of any of our teas because it's only made from the stems, and the stems have, I think, 1/3 of the caffeine as the leaves. And it's also roasted, which will slightly reduce the caffeine content. So even though this tea is kind of dark like coffee, it actually has very little caffeine. So see this really dark color. I'm actually using my Kyushu teapot that has more of a glaze to it. And I would recommend this if you're brewing this tea because it's a really strong flavor that doesn't mesh so well with some of the other teas. So when you have an unglazed teapot, you can season it, whether you mean to or whether you don't mean to, and then it kind of takes on the flavor of that tea. So this can be a good thing if you're preparing the same teas over and over again, but if you're switching between Hojicha and Gyokuro like I like to do, you might want to use different teapots because the flavors are going to clash. So you look at the color here, it's, I would say, orangish brown. The taste, oh yeah, it's really good. I think you could actually go a bit stronger with this, a little bit longer of a brewing time. You know, maybe play around with 2 minutes and see how you like that. Because I have seen more flavor come out of this tea, but it is really nice. It's dark, it's a little bit smoky. Smell of the leaves. Oh yeah, this is like charcoal, but actually I definitely get this chocolate aroma. Like if you smell like a milk chocolate or a dark chocolate, it has a very particular smell to it. But then that mixed with like a campfire almost. The flavor does taste like coffee. Not as strong as coffee, a little bit watered down coffee. Maybe slightly sweetened coffee. Probably like a coffee that you put a tiny bit of milk into, tiny bit of soy milk into, and maybe just like a tiny pinch of sweetener. It's just a little bit sweeter, a little bit smoother, a little bit milkier. So when we brew this tea a second time, I'm going to try to get a little bit more out of it. Maybe use less water here, because I do think that you can get a lot more flavor out of this tea. Because this one is super dark, but I think you could push it a little bit further. And it's hard to drink because it's so hot. You kind of need to wait for it to cool down a little bit. Most Japanese green teas, when you prepare them, they're right at drinking temperature. So that's one of the advantages to like a sencha, for example, or a gyokuro, is you can drink it right away. Whereas this hojicha and also black teas are just a little bit too hot. You kind of need to wait for them to cool down. Speaking of waiting, I think this is almost done. Normally I would do 20 seconds for the second brewing, but I'm going to give it about a full minute here because I really want to see what I can get. Color is about the same, I would say. I use less water for this because I'm really trying to push this tea to the extremes. Oh yeah, definitely richer. When you use less water, you definitely get a richer tasting experience. This one is just a little bit watery. I filled the teapot all the way up almost, which I normally do, but actually with this one I prefer it with less water. Yeah, this one's good. It's much sweeter. A little bit of like walnut, hazelnut. This one, it's darker. It's got a little more minerality to it as well, which you do get with these stem teas because the stems are rich in minerals. So you kind of feel it. It's almost like slate. It's got a very crisp flavor. Yeah, the minerality's there. There's this nice caramel finish actually. It's got a sweet finish to it. Very good. Yeah, this one's stronger on these kind of toasted walnuts, toasted hazelnuts. You know, it's got a little bit of that sweetened coffee flavor to it. Here, it's more about the minerality. It does have a sweet caramel finish. Definitely some smoothness to it. So yeah, if you were to prepare this tea, I would definitely go a little bit stronger than you think. So I would say use the higher temperature, 80 degrees Celsius. Use a little bit less water than you normally would, and that is if you tend to like these dark hojichas. This tea, I think, is like a celebration of these dark roasted flavors, so I really want to emphasize that. So I'm going to use 80 degrees Celsius. I'm going to use less water. I'm going to at least use 1 minute. I might even play around with 2 minutes. So try this for yourself at home. You can pick up this tea at neoteas.com. This is the Kuki Hojicha from Mr. Issen. I'll just give you a better view of it here. A little bit of a different pack than we normally use, but this is a fully roasted, dark roasted stem tea. So very low in caffeine, very rich in flavor, really delicious to enjoy. Also as a cold brew, which we'll be trying in another video. So try it out for yourself and let us know what you think. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for future tea videos. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.